Paris, but I think it is not blue or red case. It's the whole nation case, and it's related to JFK assassination and what comes out after this assassination. The whole United States of America came under a gang rule from the White House, take its independence into a very, very, very bad passage. You are now just discussing the results of this, decisions of, you can describe it at like a very long crisis. It's really hard to describe it by time, but you can take it by events. Year after year, the United States came under very tight control of a real gang, has its rule. And its rule now is coming in opposite with the real constitution of the United States of America and what were being the end of the independence wars. It's a very historical case because the United States of America, it's the states, many states were in a war for long years, and they has ended with a deal. The West and the East and the North, and so they got a deal to make a real one country, big and strong. They got it. And so many presidents led this nation into a very, very good level of hegemony. They control themselves until they control the world. But in this very turning point in the history of America, after reaching a very high historical imperial, I don't know where it exactly, but I can mark it with Mr. Ford, who created Ford for cars. We talk about this point. When they control the press, control the police, control the foreign affairs, control everything. And for last step, control the Congress. You can call them IPAC group as they will, yeah. But those guys has an opposite party right now. I can talk a little bit about them if I'm not taking anyone's part to talk.
No, like that's good for now.
I could try to that.
And forgive my English, please. I'm just.
No, you're fine. We understand.
Thank you.
No problem. Go ahead, mister.
Yeah, I think it's very rare, and it's fascinating how some people just walk out of their butts when it comes to regarding to foreign funding. I think we just heard someone who just blamed APAC, which is number 20 on the list of the campaign funds. And these are the types of misconceptions that I feel like we generally continues to go through because of propaganda and misinformation that people just blab out, thinking they're right, even though nobody really could understand with his accent. And people, especially from outside the United States, would love to put pressure on Americans and tell them lies because for them they just like to see Americans fight and cause that civil conflict within each other. And it's a prime example why foreign nationals shouldn't be really speaking about America. And in regards to the room titled Jeffrey Epstein, I understand what Jeffrey Epstein did was wrong, and did he have nefarious reasons or maybe blackmail people? I have no idea. But at the same time, we still see people glossing over themselves when they talk to Tates, where in reality they're still alive, still committing the crimes, and nobody's actually focusing on what's happening currently and dwelling on things that happened in the past where we can't really physically change. And maybe we can put some reparations to the victims. These are things that I don't even ever hear. It's more or less like who we're gonna catch with their names, rather than giving the victims, who are the only people that are valuable in this conversation, because and giving them an opportunity for what they went through. To stop something, we should, and we should do it for the people that are alive rather than people that already died.
I agree with that. And what do you think is going to be the outcome of this, Mark?
I think it's a witch hunt. I think both parties are gonna weaponize it, even though all elites are gonna be on this list. We've already seen a lot of left wing, but Bill Clinton went into business with this guy for many different reasons, and I won't put anything past the Clintons. And to be honest with you, I don't think we'll ever. I think it's more like a red herring where people just like to talk about it, but it doesn't actually change anything down the line. Nothing would happen, even if we do know or we don't know anything. Nothing's gonna actually happen to the average Joe.
What would you think, like, on this list? Like, I mean, obviously there would be implications. Like, Epstein has his connections. He's going to have a lot of, like, more liberal-minded, like, Merkel's Germany. England, he's going to, like, we're well aware there's a prince on there. I'm pretty sure if there's a prince on a list to Epstein Island, I'm pretty freaking sure that there's going to be other more prominent leaders. There's going to be people from Israel, maybe Egypt, I guess. You're going to have a lot of Middle Eastern connections there. You're going to have a lot of European connections there. There's even the Trudeau connection. So all of this is starting to kind of, from a security asset, for national security, I do see that there's a danger in this, that this can spiral out of control if it's not actually done the correct way, which a lot of people will say that's not how we should do it. But, we really don't want to go to wars with a lot of nations, and we don't want to lose some of the things that we have going on currently and what we have built in the past to be implicated. Not excusing the behavior, but I just don't see how we're going to go snatch somebody from, say, Italy, or, go snatch Prince Andrew. We're not going to get that person. You're not going to get justice from Prince Andrew. I'm just letting you guys know.
Exactly, Brad. This is why all along, they investigate. They don't tell you, the normal person, what the fuck they're doing. But, how far can they really go up to all of these high-profile individuals, right? And heads of states. It's just wild. It really is.
Yeah, Mari, what do you think?
I wouldn't give up the intel. In reality, if I have something like Prince Andrew, I'll go to them and be like, I'll expose it, and I'll get it. I'll get something out of it if I'm in the United States and have that information. That's my personal. I'm more interested in who's not on that list. Who knew to stay the hell away, and not because they knew because they're not sick like the people on the list, but more like I know what's going on. And that's more interesting to me than and anything else, because there is Ehud Barak, Israeli prime minister is on that list. Things like that, like when I, especially when I hear, oh, Israeli Mossad, it doesn't make sense. Israeli politicians and government wouldn't be openly with the person if they knew he was a spy that's collecting info and gonna eventually blackmail, which we all think end up happening with this list. So I'm more interested in who's not on the list, who knew what was going on and say anything, because there's no way Russia's KGB isn't sensing that something's weird happening with all these world leaders with this one particular person, and that's more. I feel like more agencies knew what was going on and probably weaponized it for themselves too.
So it could be used as a security asset going forward to leverage potential political partnerships or use of threat.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think Russia KGB would weaponize the crap out of it. They would get a sniff of it, and they'll use it for their advantage. And do we know any Russian politician or Soviet Union politician was on the list? I don't think we ever even hear a peek of it.
Hey, Patricia, take a call real quick. You guys keep going. Feel free to deviate to another topic if this one just draws out and nobody really wants to comment, because it does seem to, all these Epstein ones, once you get past the attacks and you start getting to the meats and potatoes, they just seem to die out, because even those that are on the left, they just go Trump's a pedo, and that's all they got. He won't release the Epstein, so that automatically makes him a pedo, which when you start diving into the facts and start naming the people on it, then all of a sudden they don't want to talk about it, and that becomes an issue. Let me take this call real quick, and I'll be back in like 5.
Okay. Anybody new on stage that wants to talk about this subject that has not spoken yet? I believe that's first Michael or DJ Friday.
I guess I could speak about it. I feel like there's a lot of assumptions where people just come to the conclusion that there was a giant ring. I mean, there were 3 people, I think, who Jeffrey Epstein abused, right, who testified against him in Congress. I hear people say things like thousands of people, it's like the biggest ring ever. That's just a lie, you know? I would be interested if there's like real evidence of that, then I would be interested in it. But it just seems like people have just built and built and built on this. And it's to the point that like when you know the Democrats, right, this has always been kind of a Republican talking point. When you know the Democrats are at the point that they just keep repeating it, you know that they're cynical about it, right? Like the only people that we know who may have been, you know, visiting the island are like far left Democrats, right, from both America, the UK, Israel, you know, all the countries involved. It's their left, right? They're liberals. So if there's anybody that's involved, right, it would be the Democrat Party for sure, right? But they're out there saying release everything. Makes you think that, oh, okay, they're just calling us retarded, you know, like, and just like throwing it back at us, you know. That's what I think. But you know.
Yeah. It's kind of like a cyclical pattern that doesn't make sense, and that's why it's confusing to the public. So, you know, we found the alleged Epstein survivors. They had a big press conference today, and they urged Trump to release the names. But even though they say they already know the names, but won't tell us what the names are. So how does that make sense? Sorry, I'll let you go next, but again, Michael. So why did they not do this 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, right? It doesn't make sense. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with you. I mean, of course, like, you know, just like you're saying, is now, quote unquote, the Democrats pushing for it, right? The Democrats are saying release it. When they were in power, you know, couldn't release it. Or they didn't release it, right? They didn't talk about it, which again, you know, adds more of like, oh, okay, if the Democrats were the ones who had something to do with it and now they want you to release it, okay, you know, it happened under Obama, right? So like, it's like, how if there is a list, like, has it been messed with, You know, like what's going on now? You know, it just seems like so out of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like we are now, since it's been so long and that it's changed administration hands, how much of that list has been tampered with and how much actually can be validated via truth instead of lobbying to be one political side or the other. I think, it's just my personal opinion, I think they're on both sides of the aisle that will be attached in some way, shape, or form with this. You know, predatory behavior doesn't see, it's not just Republican or Democrat. They're just sicko humans. What I worry about is that there won't be and two things, they'll be weaponized in a way that any just guilty by association related to being in the exact same room with that person will be used as a narrative to demean people or to minimize their actual character or in that capacity. Right, so we have to be careful of that. And the flip side of it is that we actually minimize or also forget the potential national security assets that are attached to this, that if exposed would be a detriment to our overall agenda on our three-letter agency side. For those thinking that a three-letter agency is not attached or known to this years would be silly to even think that. Of course they are. Augustus, if you're there, what do you think about this?
Honestly, like, it seems to me that, like, this is just, basically, like, a way to undermine the administration and, create, like, a firestorm in the media. It's the perfect formula to do both. I really don't think that it's important to getting shit done, you know? If you want to go after sex rings, go after the cartels. You know? They're fucking putting razor blades in kids' mouths and raping them at the border. You know? But that's just my take. I think that, like, the administration pretty much has got themselves into quite a pickle with this. I think that a lot of it's bullshit, and that there's nothing really that we're gonna do or see that's gonna change anything. You know, it's like, how does this stop big pharma? How does this stop food? How does this stop big ag? How does this stop big tech from slowly but surely and systematically stripping you of your rights, stripping you of your livelihood, stripping you of your health, stripping you of your dignity? This is a distraction, a big distraction, in my opinion. A lot, and then migrants or illegals that have come over the border. Where are we at with that?
Well, I don't know the latest figure, but that I saw, they were able to the current administration was able to locate, I think, close to 1,000 children that had been brought into the U.S., not separated from their biological families. So I think they are trying to make headway, but you make a very good point. Like, what good would this come out of it other than just the obvious per se? Like, is this a distraction? And I don't know. I think what's frustrating a lot of Republicans is the fact that we ran on this. Yes, we'll release it. Yes, we'll release it. But nothing that has been released, or in my opinion, that will further be released, would be good enough for the Democrats or anyone that's looking for the release of information. Like, they're actually looking for a little book with some sort of mafioso movie or some Dan Rubio, clients that did this and the actual terrible acts that they did. Right? I don't know, that could exist, maybe it could not exist, but
yeah, I mean, I think that you make a.
Go ahead, Michael.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think you make a really good point. I also, though, I would just say that I didn't vote for Trump over the Epstein list. I voted for Trump because I wanted to close the border, and deport people, and fix things that Biden had done, right? And Trump's doing those things, right? He's doing all the things he promised. The thing about the Epstein list is, yesterday they released the subpoena documents from the grand jury or whatever, from something, right? So they released all the court documents that they have, which normally they don't do that. But the reality is that court documents are not going to say what everybody is talking about right now. The court documents is just going to talk about whether or not these people who, it's focused on the victims, right? As all court documents are. I think that there are probably some public people named on planes, right? But it doesn't necessarily, unless I'm wrong, I doubt that the documents necessarily incriminate those people, right? And they're probably not out there, right? At least in the court, right? What I'm trying to say is, I don't see from the Republican perspective, if there is a list, and it's hidden, we're not going to get it from the court documents, right? If there isn't a list, then we'll never get it, and nobody will be happy, right? So there's no way to win, right? Yeah. But what's most important is Trump is delivering on the things that he said he would deliver on, right? And people were saying, but the Epstein list, well, Trump ran on XYZ. He ran on closing the border, which he closed day one. He ran on his big, beautiful bill, which he passed, right? And he ran on, restoring freedom to Europe and other things, right? And, getting out of wars, which he's already ended 7 wars, by the way, so that's just I really like Trump, but that's my opinion.
Also, Michael, if you think about what the Epstein list is like, okay, we've put a label on what a lot of people actually voted for, was just overall better transparency from our 3-letter agencies, right? I think the Epstein list kind of just holds that labeling to ensure, the people are reminded that the government works for us and safety and protect us. It's not going to be weaponized and used against us, or weaponized or used to protect other people. So when Trump was running on that, at least that's what we were saying, what we wanted to hear is just transparency. Again, why weren't these today 33,000 pages of that part of that file released? Well, why wasn't that released a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? They could have. Obviously they could have, but they didn't. And then someone added in the chat, did anyone mention the victims here? They'll release the names themselves. Yes, we said that. We talked about that early, Dottie. So this is the confusing part. Why would they have, why would the Epstein survivors do a press conference asking for the names to be released by the president when they already have the names of of those who were attached to Epstein but they haven't shared them yet. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's kind of like a cyclical pattern. So yeah, we did talk about that earlier. Let's go ahead, Anthony. I saw that you wanted to join the conversation.
AKK, I hope all is well. Brad, I hope all is well. Thank you for inviting me to the stage. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like, I'm tired of the Epstein files. I'm tired of this Epstein nonsense. I think it's a useless conversation. I'm happy to have any conversation. I'm not above, any conversation, but it's like, I think it's a distraction. And, it's like Ghislaine, she could obviously shed a lot of light, but, she's already compromised. So it's to actually get to the honest to goodness truth, I don't see it happening. I think that a lot of the players, they're not as influential as they were. It is what it is. That's my take on this whole Epstein nonsense.
Anthony, could you accept that the Epstein stuff is nonsense, but it's helpful for American politics to have all the idiots in America distracted for the next year on the Epstein stuff might actually be good?
It kind of depends, man. I think that, right now, Trump is using shorthand to get through his policies. It's unfortunate. He's got to use the executive order, sleight of hand, shorthand, whatever you want to call it, but if we could get some traction in the midterms and we could actually, really institute some stuff, that would be great. But I think that we're going to feel a period of pain on the way to things getting better. And I think people are going to equate that pain with Trump. And I think the Democrats are going to get a toehold in the midterm elections.
I think you should consider the possibility that the discussion of the Epstein stuff is crowding out something that could be really destructive. So what I see is there's a bunch of idiots that want to be angry about something, that want to protest something, and it's almost like the Epstein stuff, it's a very safe distraction because let's put it this way, like, no matter how angry people are about Epstein, it's not going to cause the deportations to slow down, right? And no matter how angry they are about Epstein, it's not going to cause a slowdown in the things that really matter. So I could almost say that it's helpful. It's just helpful for our society to have something that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter, to distract the idiots, while what's really important in our society is able to happen without interruption. And I'm eager to hear criticism.
I hope you're right, Bob.
Well, what's it? Hold on just a second, and I'll let you guys have it. What's interesting is, like, okay, we're holding on to it. It's the fact that, and I think the fact that the Democrats are holding on to this so hard is because what else do they have, right? What else do they have? So they're like, oh, this is a salacious topic. They haven't done exactly what like we would do. They've done a bit of it, but not all of it. So then they're able to go back, see, you didn't uphold the reason why you voted for him. But again, if you would have brought up the fact that, okay, he's released more than the last administration before, but the Democrats are so silly that they're not even taking a proactive measure or actions to be able to combat anything that Trump has done. If you go online and say, what are the top things, top platform items that Trump ran on, and go down the list of the items that he has not addressed yet within his first 8-9 months of office, then you are proactive with that. They're lazy, and they actually are still running on everything Trump bad for them. that orange man, that they're desperate for something that's low-hanging fruit, very salacious to distract, but they can't admit to the fact that he's covered probably over half the items that he ran on. So here we have a politician actually taking action upon the things that he's running on, and they're fucking frustrated with that. But they're so silly, and they are so focused on one little thing to make them appear bad in any way that they are, that they're not even looking at the things that Trump hasn't even addressed. Like one of them is he said that we will protect innocent lives, so that's attached on abortion. When's the last time we've heard anything about abortion in quite some time in the news cycles? Not much at all. So I'm going to go on mute. Welcome to the stage, Pepe and John. If you guys would like to join. Oh, and a new Pepe returns profile just added to that Pepe. And I know that man. All right, so I'll go ahead and let other people speak.
I'm just going to interject. I'm back now. I'm just going to say this. For those of you, I know a lot of you, you guys come to rooms and all this stuff and love political discussions. But Jane, I'm going to highlight you every time you come into our rooms because you sat in a room with Edmund, also known as John Kitover, said how great it was to go after my work, and you gave him all that. Yeah, you give me the thumbs up. So Jane is a, since you don't mind doxing and releasing it, I want you to hear some of the things that actually happened. So my daughters received threatening calls. My daughters ended up getting messages somehow nefarious, telling them that they were going to be raped. Oh, she left? She didn't want to hear about my daughters being raped.
No, Miss, protect all women. Protect the women.
Yeah,
Doesn't care about the consequences to certain women.
Oh, no, Brad, you were doxxed in real life. I'm sorry, I've been away, so just share with me. Go ahead and just speak it on the audience.
Her and Edmund held a room and started reading my work info, and then saying they were going to call the FBI and all that because Edmund, who you guys don't know is John Kitover, is running a fake political scam on Clubhouse, so please don't donate to him. He and you have to give your information up, understand that there's legalities you have to jump through to actually give that idiot money. So he decided to open a room because I told everybody that this is a scam, this is a vile piece of shit. I would never vote for him, and he took offense to that, oddly enough, because I can say Biden, I would never vote for it. He's a vile piece of shit, and I consider him that, particularly after the Abbegate scenario. Apparently you can't say that to John Kitover because Jane gets offended. So she went into her room and said, oh my God, Brad's a horrific being. You should definitely go ahead and do this. I work in HR. Let me help you figure this all out. And so there's a nice, wonderful YouTube video. There, you can go to John Kitover's, one of his 25 different personality profiles on Clubhouse, and you can go check the video, and you can see Jane and some idiot named Kitty sitting up there and having a row at releasing my information and then posting it, which now has led to my daughters getting interesting messages from a couple people who've dug that deep, particularly the one about rape. I love that. And you know what's really funny is these guys hit from names, but you had no problem doing that. Jane Rosenwade, who sits at home, who I could release her information all over this page, including your house address. So I could do that on the internet and create a problem and a stir for you, especially on Twitter. I could definitely release that. There's definitely sane people on Twitter that wouldn't retaliate at all. So that's half of my issue there, KK, is that she came into this room thinking she could just hang out here and be kind and didn't think I would call her out on it. And when I came back from the call, there she was sitting in the audience. And then she gave a thumbs up as if she was so proud of it. So that ugly fat cunt can fucking go melt off. I don't give a fuck if the worst of the worst horrific things have ever happened to humanity happened to that woman. I would smile and laugh and keep it moving because that's how I feel. And you endangered my kids as far as I'm concerned, and now you're a threat. So Jane, just know, I would definitely be cautious in the future about me. All right, so let's go back to the discussion. We were discussing what? Early the middle. They're about kids, because KK, you brought this up earlier. 700 kids are being held. They were found in the United States, close to 1,000, but I believe the number was actually 700. And they're trying to be reunited with their parents from like Guadalupe and other countries. The Democrats filed a motion. This is how fucking retarded this shit goes. They filed to find a judge, multiple judges, to prevent the kids from being reunited with their parents who want their kids back. But the Democrats don't want to send them back to their parents. I cannot make this shit up. It's literally true. It's 100% true. You can Google this shit all day long. I'm not lying about this. I have no idea why a Democrat would like sign their name to something and then say, hey, let's find a Democrat-friendly judge to prevent this current administration from uniting kids with their actual fucking parents who happen to be in another country. That makes no sense to me. Somebody on the left needs to explain this one, because quite frankly, you guys only care about abortion, and you sure as hell don't fucking care about kids. So spare me with any time you talk about kids or school shootings, because you fuckers really don't give a fuck about school
Hilarious.
shootings. Or kids. You can say all you want to, but you don't. You don't.
Brad, I feel like you brought up like a really important point right there. Obviously what happened is terrible, and that the Democrats are stopping that. But I think the most important point is whatever the Republicans do or go for, it doesn't matter what issue, you will always find Democrats to try to go against them. So like on these issues where it's like, who wouldn't want to reunite kids with their family members? And they were probably, separated by like drug cartels or some horrible situation. Who knows what they went through? But you still find Democrats who are on the side of this, probably a 90-10 issue. 90% of the people, it could be a 95-5 issue where 95% of the people in the country agree with you, Brad. But what's I think is ultimately the most disgusting is the fact that the mainstream media will paint over what's going on and try to make it look like a 60-40 issue in favor of the Democrats. They'll lie about what's going on, they'll lie about the intention, they'll lie about what the judges are doing, right? They'll lie about everything. And it's just really, it's just insane.
I agree with you. No matter what the Republicans do, like, I'm thoroughly confused. Why is it 700 kids being reunited with their parents, who those kids were technically, some of them were actually kidnapped and brought here illegally, used by, illegal immigrants, the ones that are being deported? They weren't family members. They used them to get into the country. Hey, so why are you interrupting me? They're not American citizens. They're being reunited with their parents. I don't give a fuck if they were. They're little kids. They belong with their parents. Tell me this.
You
Why
can't
is
kidnap.
that?
You can't kidnap anybody's kid and send them anywhere. If they're here and they're American citizens, like whose right is it to just
They're not American
snatch them up and
citizens.
send them anything?
Yeah, apparently you didn't listen. They're not American citizens. They were used to cross the border to gain asylum. They were used in lies. They were used in sexual manipulation. They were used as trafficking. They were used as proxies. And they're trying to reunite them. And the DNC, which King is going to tell me about how parallel they are and how magnanimous they are trying to block the return of 700 kids to their parents, which is like this.
Post
Hold on just a second,
because I don't know what you're talking about.
Can you hold on just a second, please? So people might be wondering, like, okay, why would or in this case that Brad's talking about, a lot of the kids are Guatemalan. So why would these parents in Guatemala have their kids, drop them off, and give them to cartel members, get them across the border? It's because then they are then put into homes in sanctuary states that they know they'll be able to collect federal funding for underneath that actual roof. Now, why this became a prevalent problem that we have today is because under the Biden administration, they stopped taking the DNA tests to be able to connect a biological parent or family member to the actual child to reunify them together. So that was addressed Tom Homan talked about that. That was the old practice, and then they removed that. So Mr. Holman has worked for several different administrations in his current role today. So he can be the first person to be able to say, they did this during this administration, they took it away in this administration, they're doing this in this administration. These are the trickle-down effect of adverse effects for these children in particular, but it's a money game. It's a money game. These parents or the households where they stick these children in are actually receiving federal funding and money. That's all it is. It's a money grab. So we can say, oh, we have this person here. We have to take care of this person. Oh, we're applying for under this name for this child. That's exactly what it is. It's all for the money.
No, I just was gonna ask, could somebody post an article? I haven't heard about 700 kids being kidnapped. So let me read what you guys are talking about before I offer it to you. Maybe you could put it at the top or something. I don't know.
Did you say kidnapped?
Yeah, she said kidnapped, bro. Like, are you not listening to what they're saying? How many times do they have to say it? Do they need to say it in another language for you to understand? Like I just don't understand where you're getting these.
What is the proper?
Where did you get the word kidnapped from?
Holman is handling
Who said
this,
kidnapped?
right? Holman is handling this, right? So are they being deported? Like, what is the proper word?
The word kidnapped. You made that up?
Augustus, we'll just use the appropriate DNC language. Unaccompanied minors. Or falsely accompanied minors.
Yeah, like.
So that is a big problem here in Arizona.
And the Godfather.
No, they're kidnapped. They're used. They're mute.
Yeah, this is a big problem in Arizona, and so the sheriffs would be pretty outspoken about this because they are often the ones that are going to encounter these people before the Border Patrol does. And under Biden, Border Patrol did not talk to press. They had official narrative. Nobody could deviate. The officers were not allowed to talk to them. But it is very common for them to have children that are not theirs with them in order to seek asylum or to get services. And it's unknowing what the actual relationship is with that child. Could it be that they're being, I guess they're technically being trafficked, but of course there's the big problem is that it's very common for children and women to be raped. It is when they're passing through northern Mexico. Very common thing. In fact, most women understand that, so they make sure they have lots of condoms and birth control, just to, that's part of the toll they have to pay.
What is the Office of Refugee Resettlement? What agency is that? Because it's what the article is saying is that removing the kids breaks one of the mandates of the refugee resettlement, whatever it is. What agency is that? Is that a national thing or is that?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. I was trying to look it up at the exact same. What were you speaking on, Queen? What were you talking about? The Office of okay, so the Office of Refugee Resettlement, ORR. Shall we refer to the Office of Resettlement? It says transfer to OR within 72 hours of kidnapping when the children from non-contiguous countries must be transferred from CBP to ORR, an agency within the Department of Health and Human Services. This was to establish to move away from the adult detention mode to ensure the children's welfare. So it's under D. It's under the HHS, Department of Health and Human Services, which, when I was speaking earlier, would then be in, that child would then be in their system to receive actual benefits. So that is the cyclical money pattern that I was talking about. Did you want me to continue on, or did you have a comment about that?
Okay, and so this agency takes over the care of the unaccompanied minor.
Yeah, would they have to within 72 hours?
And so what are they saying about this? The agency.
So
Okay,
they weren't.
I don't know.
So the administration has set targets to actually restore these children with their biological parents, and they have the ability to do so for at least, I think, the majority of these kids, and returning them to them. This is not for asylum. A 14-year-old can't just cross our border and with a coyote or whoever else and say, I want asylum. They don't get that provision. That's a minor, and we handle things a little bit differently. We'll protect and shield that minor, but we're not going to grant them application for that because they're a minor and they're without their parents. Now, if it was a wholesale, we find out their parents were slaughtered, they're an orphan, and blah, 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 and they're escaping, I don't know, persecution from, I don't know, Mexican government, where they're saying they're just hanging this family, then we'll probably take the children in. Similar situations have happened in the past. However, that's not these kids. Their parents have been located. Their parents are wanting their kids back. For some reason, though, I posted it in the chat. Even a judge, the Democrats went shopping and they found a friendly judge to try to block this administration from returning them. I want 700 kids back with their parents. I don't know why Democrats are like, well, they're American. They're not Americans. They're not, fuck all. I don't need 700 more welfare cases, orphanage cases, fucking juvenile detention center cases. I don't need any more of them. I don't. I've got enough fucking problems with American kids. You want me now?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't need any more dead American kids in schools. Yeah, I agree.
You guys don't really care, and you interrupted me to go on your phone call. That's really retarded. We don't need any more. I have enough problems with our own kids that I don't need to import more problems. And I think we need to look at this. And again, the Democrats went ahead and blocked this. They really don't care about kids. The only thing they care about is whether or not someone like King can go out and have 410 abortions and be able to say, I'm a proud, independent woman, and then cry about, hey, everybody should be EBT warriors. No, we should be able to manifest our destinies. We should be able to manifest our own points of view. And we shouldn't be importing the children of the world and saying, hey, here we go. Let's rip them from their parents. And then let's create all these other cases to overload our own system. We have enough problems with our adoption programs across the country anyway. Our foster home system is on the verge of fucking breaking. But yeah, let's definitely import fucking 700, 1,000 more. Why not 10,000? Why not 1 million? Let's just import all the kids from the world into the U.S. because we don't have like psychos in the Democrat Party that go up and have their own fucking island, absconding young little girls so they can get booty raped by Bill Clinton and their president. You know, Mr. Squirts a lot over Monica Lewinsky's dress.
So Brad, I can't see the stage right now because I want to read this. And people are asking, all right, so they're underneath the ORR. Within 72 hours, the minors are, but then what they do is ORR has to provide shelter and care. The children are placed in a network of state licensed shelters, group homes, or foster care. The thing about the state license meaning state federally funded shelters, group homes, and foster care that takes away from the actual American kids that actual services, right? The ORRs then also required to provide food, medical care, and other services in the least restrictive possible setting. Now, this is where it becomes political. Under the sponsor ORR works to identify and vet sponsors who are typically family members living in the U.S. Potential sponsors must undergo background checks before the child can be released into care. Under the Biden administration, they stopped doing the DNA test, so that way they can actually reassert them with a biological member of of the family that is in the U.S. The problem is many of these children, they don't have any biological parents or biological family members that it can actually, quote, be their sponsor to reunify them because their parents and biological family members are living in another country. So the flooding the system, taking away from actual homes and state-funded homes and care for actual U.S. citizens to include our foster program that is already flooded. So that's an important factor to understand, like the whole chain of custody for these children. But
it's a massive problem. But again, like we've seen over and over again, they don't really care about funding reuniting kids with their parents. But no, they're concerned about, hey, should we give puberty blockers? They're all about that. That's when it becomes a problem because again, they need to chemically or groom, I guess, some sort of fashion onto kids and not let them all discover their own sexuality as they mature through life. But no, we want to be able to somehow over-influence them into becoming a certain way and inject that. That's when they care about it. They don't really give a shit about the schools. They don't give a damn about school shootings because the only thing that they care about is, hey, I want to ban firearms. But when it comes to actually talking about measures to strengthen and harden targets, such as schools, such as expansion on those, such as reviewing medical doctors who are giving SSRIs at an alarming rate to children, how the teacher system, the education system, and the teachers within that system don't need to be elevated to a high level, but somehow need to be actually checked and monitored because they are not performing at such a significant level as indicated from post-1985 onward. We have seen a rapid decline in it. And the fact that teachers say we're overworked or overwhelmed, go ahead and look at the studies. 1950s, 1960s, 1940s, they had more kids per capita in classroom than our teachers do today. So if they had more kids in the classrooms and kids were excelling and we didn't have school shootings back in the day, they have more technology available to them, how the kids are ending up screwed up. And the argument has always been from the left, we just need to get rid of guns because that's what's scary. The legal gun owner is what's scary. Not that we put up all these laws and we somehow believe that that's going to protect us when literally the case that just happened in Minnesota had all the wet dream laws that all of these vibrating Democrats could ever dream of. They had them in place. And this person was able to just go right through all of them and commit an egregious act. So much for the Democrats' playbook of checks, special licenses, background checks, all of that shit, all passed, all flying colors. Immediately went through and did it. But what they didn't trigger was the kids' psychological reports, which now are getting unveiled, of saying, hey, this kid was known to have psychological problems. No, they were being pushed by transgender. They were being groomed by an education system and parents and others that were influencing them. And what was in his note? I regret accepting being trans to shoot everybody. So there you go.
Yeah, and too bad, the NRA, when they were advocating against these, mental health checks, because a lot of people wouldn't pass.
The NRA doesn't check. Hold on.
That are not the lobbyists.
The NRA does no. The NRA has no control. In fact, its membership is often significant with trial memberships, and it isn't even the biggest understanding of where people are. So when you guys use the NRA, it isn't even pro-friendly for gunmen. Like, I'm not a member, and the majority of gun owners are not a member.
Yeah, but
we look at them as selling out. They sell out gun owners. They're like the last 5 years, they've gotten nothing but shit, and people have migrated to other Second Amendment advocacy groups because of that. And they basically, for well over a decade, has been just seen as a lobbying group for the fucking firearms manufacturing industry, not fucking Second Amendment, protection.
Yeah, and your opinion piece, they're not the lobbying group that does it, because you do this every time there's a shooting or something involving a gun with a police officer even. First, we're aware you don't know what firearms are because of your stance right there. The fact that you're saying the NRA is a lobbying group. There's lots of lobbying groups. There's lobbying groups for expansive oil. There's lobbying groups that are sugar. There's lobbying groups to make sure you yourself can buy produce or food that is loaded with sugars on EBT food stamps. They are literally doing it. It is Kraft. They are fucking going Kraft. In fact, it just split today. Start your investments early because you got to pick one, and that one's going to be an interesting investment opportunity. But you have a whole plethora of lobbying groups that go to Washington. The NRA does not write policy. It does not fucking vote for a massive group of people. They are a gun rights advocate that has failed in, I don't know, fucking since 1990 to actually provide gun rights because they kept stipulating despite what gun right owners wanted. And we don't belong to them. And they are just a small fraction of what gun ownership really is in this. But you are about to give me some other information and then keep talking. And I'm sick and tired of it. Like, I don't, you get your point and then move on. And then when someone else speaks, you let them finish. You don't get to interject. You're on our stage. So understand that. Either come up and participate and go with it or don't. I don't really care. But I am tired of this fucking insipid, dumb, retarded talking point about, oh, the boogeyman NRA. It has nothing. It's up there with like Flowers for fucking Matilda's lobbying group or Dinosaur Preservation Committee that wants to fucking enact Jurassic fucking Park. They don't mean shit. They don't actually get legislation, and they haven't won for gun rights owners fucking in ever. Since 1986, they've been on a losing streak across the fucking nation and haven't done fuck all in terms of gun rights for ownerships. It's the other organizations that actually help us. And you guys just don't have the ability to figure that shit out, that Americans want to retain their rights. And it is a constitutional right, and you can't infringe on it. This shall not be infringed. There we go. Who's...
To address Queen's article, an important part of that article was, I wrote it in the chat, it was done to undo some of the previous administration. It was just, the ruling covered too fast, and it included people with disabilities that was not able to capable of taking a firearm. So when you get into the minutia, what's the labeling of disabilities, not disabilities, it just kind of was too blanket in general. That is one of the reasons why it was no. So think about, I'm just veteran friendly. Think about our veterans, if they have what would be deemed a disability on that list, then they would not be able to own a firearm. How do we even get on that subject?
Because Democrats like to distract and just kind of
move the goalposts.
Yeah, they just like do that. Like again, the room started out with Epstein. Like I really wanted to talk about the National Guard being insane. I thought it was a big piece. I think it's really. I think it's something to watch. I think it's a good thing. I think the results are in DC. That I hate to tell all the Democrat shills down there in the audience, especially like King, who are all like, oh, this is authoritarian. It actually has positive impacts. Crime is actually dropping rapidly, and carjackings are dropping, and muggings, and sexual assaults. They seem to be dropping at a rapid rate since the National Guard came in. Had nothing to do with Muriel Bowser's plan because that didn't work, and the only impact they've done has been positive throughout. Even the homeless people are glad to see the National Guard out there, and they've said that the National Guard has been so assistive in preventing attacks on them. You're having trouble with CNN trying to go find somebody on the streets that's negative about this impact. They're saying they're great. They're bringing out hot coffee. They're picking up trash. They're helping people be safe. Amazing. Kids are able to get back and forth to school, and they enhanced Muriel Bowser's Back to School Safe program. They've been doing a great job. Chicago, on the other hand, said, authoritarian, and we don't need any problem. Our crime rates are going down. We're doing a fantastic job. But magically, you have 8 motherfuckers killed, and 50 freaking wounded in one weekend? Like, no, crime, I don't give a shit. If that's your Labor Day weekend, if that's like crime being down and that's a good weekend for you, I mean, I think I encourage all of you guys, like, get rid of the Dems. They clearly don't have an idea what it's like to have a city where you get to go out and enjoy it, where you can go out to have events. Like, we used to do that. We used to go to churches. We used to go to parades. Like, we should be able to do that without people getting freaking killed and shot all the time.
For the room. How y'all doing, by the way?
Hi,
Doing
Mr.
great.
Brown.
Good. I myself, to be quite honest, I don't have faith in either party anymore. I don't, I know it's called the United States, but it ain't anything united going on right now, which is a problem, right? I understand why both sides are disgruntled in their own ways. The crime is ridiculous. Something does have to be done. I do feel like the buck has been passed so many times that nothing is being done on anything. And from the last thing I understood about Congress, it's supposed to be based upon Democrats and Republicans figuring out a way for the people to make things happen for the betterment of the people, which is not what's going on. It's just ideology over actually actions. And by that I'm saying, like, no one should be okay with the fact that everything that's affecting us is getting railroaded and pushed to the back for rhetoric. It's a lot of rhetoric that's been going on Joe Biden's rhetoric, Trump's rhetoric, Obama's rhetoric. We can go on and on and on. So what I guess I'm asking this room and the people is, when do we understand we're getting fucked over, each and every one of us, and the real needs and the real problems going on are not being solved because the rhetoric is winning, whether it be promoting racism, whether it be promoting bullshit scandals, whether it be promoting anything but the real issues that's affecting all of us. I see it in the clubhouse rooms every day. I'm picking a side, surely. I'm for Biden, I'm for Kamala, I'm for Trump. But yet still these problems where these kids are getting killed in schools, these problems where these urban communities are under siege, these problems where the job market is fucked, these problems where inflation is still through the roof, get sideswiped and overlooked for the Epstein shit. Like, I'm gonna be real, the Epstein shit is sick. It's fucked up, but right now, what's going on is even more fucked. Is bodies are dropping every day in these communities, and nobody's doing shit about it. And I do agree with Trump on one thing, right? Something has to be done to stop the shit that's going on. I mean, it can't sustain itself with 70 shootings in a weekend or whatever the case may be. However, I don't want it to be an expense of innocent people who are roped into this shit. There's going to be some people roped into the mix of this that might be just walking down the street and get fucked with from these National Guard people. That can be, that two things can be true at once. You may do something for one intention and then this happens or the other, but I say that to say this. We got to get past this whole picking a side like a cheerleader or picking it like a team and realizing that if these two motherfucking parties can't come together, which I don't think they ever will anymore, we all suffer from it because the way this system is lined up and set up, it's set up where two parties are supposed to work together and figure out a way to bring a balance to this shit and find solutions to the problems. That's no longer happening. You know what I'm saying? So my question to the room, I'm going to shut up with this, is what are we going to do? Are we going to keep on biting each other's heads off and going at each other and nothing gets done? Are we going to finally figure out that the system's broken and try to figure out some way for everyone to come up with an alternative or a way to fix this broken shit? Because it's all shit to me. And all of them are complicit to it, and we all lose.
Yeah, if two parties have to come together, it means people on both sides need to come together, right? Like, if one side of people say, oh, this is all racist and this and that, and the other side, obviously, there's no policies or no laws or anything that we support on the right stating that, oh, black people cannot do this, and there's only for white people or brown people. I mean, like, so there's nothing about laws that talk about racism or where one group of people can do it, one group of people cannot do it, right? So where as people, like, on both sides, like, where do you think we need to come to come point to make things work?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, I don't think, when I looked at Obama, I don't agree with them either. I don't think that nothing was going good under those platforms either. I just feel like people have been falling for the okie doke and the rhetoric of the scandals and the goofy shit and all of this and the real issues that's plaguing us. No one is working together to solve it. Now, I'm gonna say this: I am for owning a gun. I am pro freedom of owning a gun. However, I am not pro having these motherfuckers walking around now with military guns and their teenagers able to shoot up shit. Something has to be done. I'm not pro motherfuckers having 223s, bandos, AK-47s.
What do you mean 223s? I mean,
that's slang. That's a hood slang. I'll get to that.
It's not a hood slang. That the 223 Remington is a.
Yeah, that part. But let me get my thought out because I forget what I'm going to say if I keep getting cut off. I'm going to shut up, make it concise because I know I'm talking a lot. But I'm going to say this. There are certain things in life that I feel like citizens should not necessarily have, especially when you think about what do you need 100 rounds of ammo for? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it real. There comes a limit to what goes on. Now, I'm about protecting yourself. I am about being able to protect your family the best you can. But for a motherfucker to walk out here with some of the weapons they have, they shouldn't have access to this. These are military-graded weapons that some of these people have. And when we look at these school shootings, and we look at this crazy shit that goes on, nobody really gives a fuck except with prayers and condolences until their kids are the ones that's caught in the crossfire. Then you want something done about it. Because what I've learned is until it happens to you, nobody gives a shit. It's all just fun and games until your kindergarten goes to school and it's one of the ones bleeding on the floor. So we gotta figure out common sense shit. This ain't a Democrat or Republican thing. It's a common sense thing. What are we gonna do about this shit? It is common sense that we need to move in some of these neighborhoods right now and stop the crime. It does have to happen. I don't agree with Trump on most of anything, but I do agree that something has to be done on that. It does. But it's all about how you do it. I'm not opposed to National Guard going in these cities. I am opposed. I want to make sure that if that's done, it's done the right way. The innocent people aren't caught in the crossfire of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Get the people you need to get, but don't bring people into this shit that have nothing to do with it. And that's the one thing I hope and pray doesn't happen. But something got to give with common sense, man. You know, how long we gonna keep watching motherfuckers die in these schools and churches and shit and think it's okay and just keep on business as usual selling this shit to motherfuckers who shouldn't have it? Like, you know what I mean?
But Hug, the Democratic
hold on,
Party.
I was trying to respond to him. So first of all, you said something about the 223, which it's very similar to the 5.56 NATO, which is what's the M4, so it's the cartridge that the M4 shoots, or the M16. Now, I don't think you realize this, but that's a pretty small round. Your average hunting rifle is going to have a much more, will use rounds that are much more powerful, but not only will they weigh more, but they'll have a lot more velocity behind them. And so
I was referring to the Remington 5.56 is what I'm referring to. The human beings do not need that weapon. You do not need that. Like that's the thing I'm referring to. There are weapons. Go ahead though.
They're not
Okay, I can go. Okay, people will go hunting with a 30-06, which I promise you that you getting shot in the chest with a 30-06, the chance of survival is next to zero. It's meant to take down fucking elk. And you can get those in semi-auto, by the way. They've been around 100 years ago. People would own them. So I don't.
I think you're missing the point, my guy. It's not necessarily what I'm against. Like I said, I'm not against guns.
You gotta let him land before you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So the fact of the matter is that any weapon, including a 9mm, they're all lethal. There's no friendly round to fire and hit somebody with. It's now I when people use terms like military weapons, I've always found it quite annoying. A 9mm handgun that the police carry, that's the standard firearm of the United States military. Does that mean we should outlaw 9mm?
Let's be
handguns, comes to rifles. The cops also use rifles that are chambered in 5.56 generally if they have them in their squad car.
But those are the cops.
And
Not just everyday people walking around with AK-47s. That's the difference. A cop is a cop. They're there to protect the serve. That's a different thing.
what is the difference between what the tool? Okay, when it comes to a weapon, what is the difference between a civilian application and a police officer's application of when you point your weapon at somebody? Okay, you have them in your sights and you pull the trigger. It does the exact same thing. If you're protecting yourself, you end up using it to protect yourself. It's a lethal weapon. I don't understand why you're saying that.
I never said you don't protect yourself. See, you're spinning it. I am all about
You should
protecting.
have 5.56.
I'm all about protecting yourself. What I'm saying is the average citizen does not need rounds of AK-47 ammunition. That's what I'm saying.
Sure. The fuck do you mean they don't need it?
What do you need it for?
You obviously don't have any. You obviously don't have any experience. You obviously
When was
don't.
the last time you needed an AK-47?
I haven't needed one. Doesn't mean I'll never
To
need
shoot
one.
a school up, a church, what? What do you need it for?
Protect my fucking home.
Let me say this. You can do that with a 9mm,
No,
right?
you can't. Not
What's
nearly as
the-
easily. No, dipshit. You can't do that. No, you shut the fuck up. I was talking. Shut your fucking mouth. I was talking. You keep on fucking interrupting me. Now, you stupid asshole, there's a big difference when it comes to recoil management. Shut your fuck up. They carry AR-15s. The 5.56 is the round of an AR-15, not an AK-47. It's not a 7.62.
Walking around. I never see him carrying an AK-47 walking around.
They have AR-15s.
They have a 9mm on their waist.
No, they can't. No. You stupid. You goddamn brainlet. You stupid fucking troglodyte. What you don't understand is if there's an active shooter, okay, or let's just say there was a shooting in a parking lot. The police officers are going to come. They're going to end up clearing the scene. They're going to make sure that everything's safe, so you can get paramedics there and everything. They're going to take their AR-15 out of their fucking car, and that is what they're going to use as their primary weapon. Why? And there's a reason why. There's a reason why, you stupid fuck. No, you dumb motherfucker. You're going to let me finish. I let you finish, you fucking ape. Now let me finish.
All right. Can we just please do one at a time?
You knew the race was somebody.
Yeah, well, no, I can't even finish. I let this motherfucker monologue for how long? And he has to fucking interrupt me every fucking second.
Okay,
Dude, see, you fucking idiot, you can't even keep your mouth shut.
have them finish up.
Now, here he goes. He can't control himself. Anybody who has experience shooting handguns versus an AR-15, you can put multiple rounds on target quickly, okay, with a small grouping. Okay, it's very easy to do, especially in close proximity where you're generally going to use one for self-defense. A handgun is a whole different. Shut the fuck up, you whiny ape. Now, when it comes to a handgun, it's actually much harder. It's actually much harder to do that. If you're in a moment where you're panicked, you don't know how you're going to handle a stressful situation where you have to use lethal force. Okay, good luck controlling the recoil and making sure you have a proper grip and all of that shit. Okay, and handguns people are far more inaccurate with them. That is a fucking fact. That's why police officers, majority of their shots don't hit the fucking suspect. They're much harder to work with. You want something that you can be accurate and quick with. That is how you save your fucking life. That's why people use AR-15s. I'm done.
Okay, thanks. Excuse me, Shipwreck, please go on mute. Thank you very much. We're not going to call people animal names. It's just going forward. Also, to Mr. Hug's point, I need you down, but you kept interrupting. We listened to your whole diatribe. I'll bring you up in just a second. I don't own a gun. Last time I held a gun, I cried. So I know that's not for me. However, if I had to own a gun, I'm going to get the biggest, most productive gun that I can to protect myself. I am not going to take a little pew-pew. I would take the rifle then because it's faster, I don't have to. It would be easier for me to use, and I'm a small human. So I understand Pepe's logic when it comes to that. We're gonna let other people speak that haven't spoken, that are just on this page. I believe Mr. Sheprat, you wanted to speak, go ahead, and I'll bring Mr. Hug back up. But Mr. Hug, you need to please refrain from unmicing to the people who are speaking. Go ahead, Mr. Sheprat.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to add into the conversation, that 5.56, where everyone is up in arms with it being a military round, there's actually been multiple times that the U.S. has looked to move away from the 5.56 because of lack of stopping power, and a majority of the school shooters actually use 9mm. If you think to Nashville, they use the P2000. I believe it's a 9mm tube rifle that basically is collapsible. That's 9mm. You're not gonna. The stopping power isn't the issue with their 5.56. It's you need to bring back bullying. When we can bully kids early enough, we can find the crazies earlier. That way, we're able to get them help. In the mid 90s, late 80s, when bullying became the target of the administration within schools, it really did a disservice to routing out some of these people with more susceptible mental health issues. That's it.
So when we look at Dylan Roof, we look at Cal Rittenhouse, Michael Carter.
Mr. Hug, okay, hold on just a second. I'll let you go in just a moment. Just to clear up how we kind of got into this conversation is talking about the National Guard carrying arms. So I wrote in the chat exactly what National Guards is carrying in DC, and also I want to include not all National Guard members in DC are carrying firearms. Only certain ones that have certain missions are carrying firearms, not all. And I'm going to think that this is going to be a test run for other cities, and they'll deviate the plan going forward, the mission going forward. So it's not all, and the information that you were sharing, what they were carrying is not correct. I wrote it in the chat. Yeah, floor is open. Go ahead. And Mr. Hug, would you please give an opportunity for Mr. Marquise and Mr. Rob to speak since they have not spoken on this yet?
You got it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, I appreciate that. Go ahead, Marquise and Rob.
Thank you. I'll make mine quick. I just want to say that it feels like every event that takes place with a firearm, whether it's a rifle, a shotgun, a pistol, something in high caliber, something in a lower caliber, it's a reason for sensitive extremists to try to poke at to try to figure out a reason to add more gun control. When the reality is, if you really look at each case of whether it's a school shooting or a mosque shooting or any type of mass shooting, there is a reason behind it. There's a reason behind why there's somebody either carrying explosives or carrying firearms to commit these acts, and they're not looking at the motive. People look at the tools that are used and they think, oh, well, not everybody, but everybody does need the idealism. Everybody does need the idealism as to why people do this type of shit. We need more hate in politics. We need more hate in the news. We need more shock value. You ever notice that you never fucking see anything good on the news? It's always like, oh, we have something shocking today. We have some shocking news. This is horrifying news, horrifying stuff. You never hear like, hey, somebody actually donated $1 million to a fucking fundraiser. You know, just you don't really hear much about that. You have to go to YouTube for it. So my point being is that it's not about the firearms, it's about the idea, the idealisms, all the politics and the reasonings and motives behind why these things take place with the tools. You cannot blame a tool for why people commit vile acts, MLM.
Hey, I want to say this. I'm a gun owner. I'm from Houston, Texas. I will use that hoe if necessary. I think guns are the single worst invention humans ever created. One can say that the nuclear weapon is worse. I do understand that it's a far more massive weapon, a more powerful weapon. But the idea that we could carry around a weapon of mass destruction, because that's what a gun is. Don't get it twisted. It's a weapon of mass destruction.
Anything you flip it, if I can take multiple lives with it, it's a weapon of mass destruction. We're a violent nation. Our government is violent. We enjoy violent TV. We enjoy violent movies. We enjoy violent music. We enjoy violence. Whether we want to accept that or not, like, this is America. It's built on violent principles. We've been in a state of war. I think we've been a country since, 1776 officially. I think last time they said, I looked it up, we had been in war like at least 60, 70% of the time we've been a nation. So why don't you think that the top of our nation, which is violent, wouldn't trickle down to the basics of America? A state like Illinois has no gun law, has strict gun laws, but we always hearing about Chicago gun violence. That's because they can easily go to goddamn Missouri. They can easily go to Indiana. Hey, gun control is a myth in America. I can get 5-10 guns way quicker than I can find a job. Like, I'm telling y'all this. I could call 10 people right now and say, hey, let me find a chopper. Let me find a AR. Find one. Like, it's easy. That's not a good thing. So it's like, I'm torn with it because I done been dealing with murder since I was in sixth grade. The first time somebody that I was close to got killed by gun violence, and it ain't stopped since sixth grade. And I'm 41 years old. Like, the shit is tough. It is. Like, I'm not gonna front. We about to start a murder trial September 8th for my best friend. Like, he got killed in January 2022, and the murder trial just started. So it's like, it's tough, but I'm gonna be very real with I'm leery about hearing white people discuss this type of shit, because I don't think y'all really care about it. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I don't think y'all care about what's really happening in places like Chicago. I don't think y'all care about what's happening in the inner city in y'all city, because I can almost guarantee that y'all do your best to avoid these areas, even when there's not quote unquote violence happening. Like, I just don't think it's a genuine conversation when we talking about gun violence in America. But I also don't think we could do anything about it. Like, Trump bringing the military into people's cities is completely un-American. And I hope that our military, I'm not talking about the National Guard. If the military is ever deployed, I hope them boys have some courage and say, we're not going to deploy in our own country where it's not an active war zone. No matter what the numbers may look like, Chicago is not a war zone. Detroit is not a war zone. St. Louis, which has the highest crime rate in America, is not a war zone. It's some segments of these neighborhoods that are fucked up. It's some people that are doing some fucked up shit, but we're not in a war zone. And if y'all think that keeping the military prolonged in a situation is good for business, is good for growth in the neighborhood, we'll see if people want to come and invest in these neighborhoods, or if they just become glorified military occupation.